Hello everybody, this is Starman and welcome back to Let's Play the Pandora Directive, Boulevard of Broken Dreams. Well, I kind of screwed things up a little bit last time in my haste to get up to the roof of Rusty's funhouse. I forgot to follow our standard procedure of asking our neighbors about every bloody thing that comes to my mind. The good news is that my haste means we get to go and annoy Rook some more.
I can't imagine why you don't get as tired of bothering me as I get tired of you coming in here. What do you want now?
Alas, we do not get a new opportunity to insult him this time.
I read about the Black Arrow killer in the newspaper, but why are you asking me about him? He was arrested in Nevada some time ago. That imbecile! He's been trying to make problems for Louis. He doesn't eat meat and thinks anyone who does is a barbarian. Moron. I don't know a thing about it. I've heard that a stranger's been seen lurking around the neighborhood lately. I figured it was just you getting your jollies. Never heard the name in my life. Well, if it wasn't for me, he'd still be camping out in the dumpster. I told him I was going to charge him rent, and he moved up to Coit Tower. Well, I don't know where he got the money to open his chocolate stand. He probably stole it. No. Next question. How should I know who that is? They finally found Rusty, dead as disco. And I, for one, couldn't be happier. I didn't care much for the drug dealers, illegal novelty smugglers, and out-of-work clowns that used to hang out at the fun house.
Oh, what sad and treacherous times these are that drug dealers, illegal novelty smugglers, and out-of-work clowns are allowed to walk unmolested among the streets of San Francisco.
Never heard the name in my life. I've only seen the name on the marquee outside the Fuchsia Flamingo. The Flamingo looks a little too flashy for my taste. Nilo's run the Ritz for years. He's a pig. But at least he pays cash when he buys something from me. No. Next question. He took over the electronics shop after the fat man left. It seems pleasant enough. Louis is a good man. He seems to like you quite a bit. I can't figure out for the life of me why.
And just to see if we get insult injury chance on this.
Oh, Chelsea. If I were a younger man, you wouldn't have a chance with her.
Although it occurs to me, I think this is something we need to pester Louis about.
Wife, you just missed Chelsea. She stopped in to say goodbye. She's apparently off to Arizona. Is everything okay with you two?
Nuptial worries, condensed exclamation, hard-boiled attitude. Hard-boiled all the way.
I don't want to talk about it. I'm so sick of dames I could puke.
Listen, Wife. I know when things don't work out, it can leave a bad taste in your mouth. But you'll find someone.
Express your new policy, the PI definition of women, describe your ideal. Could go either way on this one, but let's say new policy.
Listen, Louis. The bottom line is, I don't want to find somebody else. This thing with Chelsea's just made me reassess my motives. I'm in it for myself now.
Oh, just be careful, Wife. When you quit caring about people, you're as good as dead.
Yeah, I'll keep that in mind. Look, not to be rude, but can I ask you a few questions before I go?
Ouch.
Crazy Gary's trying to start some kind of feud with me. Says I'm killing all my customers with my food. Good thing no one takes him too serious. I remember reading about the Black Arrow killer. Someone was covering the story in the Bay City Mirror. You want to find copies of the Black Arrow Killer articles? I throw out all my old papers, but Rook sometimes holds on to his. Keeps them in the alley back at the pawn shop. I've heard talk that a stranger's been seen around the neighborhood for a while now. Of course, a lot of people come and go around here.
And that should be what we need to go find the newspapers out in Rook's trash can or recycling bin. And as before, there are a couple of funny articles in here. Who's Who in Local Business. Sapphire Bob Baggett, founder of Sapphire Bob Farm Services, was recognized this week as Local Businessman of the Year. Sapphire Bob graduated from Oakmont High and worked at San Francisco Tech for several semesters in the custodial department. He then left school and moved somewhere down south and entered the pharmaceuticals business, where he amassed a small fortune. Sapphire Bob met his current wife Trixie on a business trip to Vegas, and they're married after a storybook 3-hour romance. The happy couple moved back to the city by the Bay a year and a half ago and started up a lucrative telemarketing business. Sapphire Bob is quick to attribute his success to others. If it weren't for the hard work of my employees, I wouldn't have been making squat. Our congratulations go out to Sapphire Bob and those fortunate enough to work for our Local Businessman of the Year. Puppy chews off man's leg. Rochester, New York. Native Pobliado A. Smith woke up last week to find that Barkley, his 3-month-old Labrador Retriever, had chewed his leg completely off. According to Mr. E. Smith, he'd been up the night before drinking mucho tequila and passed out on his living room sofa. He didn't realize the leg was gone until he tried to stand up the next morning. Immediately after falling to the floor, Mr. A. Smith noticed Barkley playing with the leg. The impromptu amputation wasn't all bad, though. I've been trying for many years to lose weight, said Mr. A. Smith. Now weighing in at a svelte 195 pounds, he's scheduled to leave the hospital today. Sports on sports. The big news, of course, is the arrest of Mano Manowski, the power-hitting catcher for the Bay City Mutants. Mano was booked on manslaughter charges stemming from a fatal incident which took place yesterday. In the bottom of the 5th inning, Mano ripped a hanging slow curve into the stands to the left of third base, hitting a woman in the forehead, killing her instantly. After the game, which the Mutants won 5-4 on Manowski's 3-run upper-decker blast, Mano was cuffed and escorted from the ballpark in a patrol speeder. As it turns out, the victim was Mano's ex-wife, and witnesses say that Mano pointed in her direction moments before stepping into the batter's box. Police suspect foul play. That'd be pretty darn impressive if he could actually hit that accurately. Computer Biz Buzz by Mr. Data. According to Chad Frost, spokesperson for Microsoft, there is simply no truth to the rumors that Bill Gates has died in a tragic speeder accident and been replaced by a lifelike computer replica. There has been considerable speculation ever since the release of Windows 42, in which Bill Gates was pictured on the cover of a hand over his head, apparently staring down in a flower-covered grave. Fueling the Bill is dead rumors are several snippets which can be heard if the new Microsoft Golf CD #1 is played backwards on a CD player. One of the phrases, reportedly spoken by Paul Allen, says, "I buried Bill." Microsoft adamantly denies these allegations, saying that the phrase is actually Libraryville, the codename for a new Microsoft cyber literature product. Daylight saving shifts. Yeah, I mentioned this one in the last Let's Play, a couple of chapters ago. Daylight saving shifts still a hot topic. The daylight saving shift, which was enacted January 1st, has met with mixed reviews. While the Surgeon General has applauded the move, saying that it will reduce skin cancer deaths by at least 50%, others have been highly critical. "We're not owls, for God's sake," said Representative Carl Van Doty, Democrat, Alabama. Senator Vincent Pohl, Republican, New Jersey, adds, "This whole fiasco has turned us into a bunch of frickin' nocturnal beasts." Though there are many rural spots which have yet to shift business hours from AM to PM, all metropolitan areas have complied with the changeover. On the plus side, most businesses have seen little difference in employee effectiveness and absenteeism, and crime is down in most cities as criminals are forced to engage in their nefarious activities during daylight hours. Hospitals, however, have noted an increase in cases of insomnia and sleep disorders. The Surgeon General advises that this is a temporary result of the necessary adjustment and will soon pass. So clearly that sign about deliveries is old sign. Does this sound like your kind of job? Work in the same building with lots of interesting people, earn up to 15 minutes in breaks every 4 hours, enjoy a full hour for lunch, unpaid, a clean, sanitary bathroom available at any time, 3 fully functioning drinking fountains dispensing icy cold water, punch in on a state-of-the-art time clock, sit in a comfortable chair with armrests, make money simply by talking on the phone all day. If this sounds like the kind of exciting career you've dreamed about, contact Sapphire Bob's Phone Farm Services at 555-0801. A challenging and rewarding opportunity in the field of telemarketing could be the stepping stone to your future. Be an artist, or just look like one. World-renowned fashion expert Francois will appear for one night only at the Bayview Community College Amphitheater. Francois, founder of the Nouvelle Avant-Garde fashion movement, will lecture on a variety of topics, including art, art apparel, and accessories, dressing for suicide, and a basic black turtleneck, the new blue blazer. Tickets are $163.27 and are available at the door. The lecture begins promptly at 8:19, and cigarettes will be served afterward. Movies and shakers. Bruce Willis, still fit and spry at age 91, is set to star in Die Hard 18, still alive and kicking. Willis says that this will be the last and most exciting movie in the popular cinematic series. The plot centers around the terrorist takeover of Fort Lauderdale retirement community. Co-stars include Paul Rubens as the terrorist leader and Macaulay Culkin as a bitter ex-child star. Also in the news, United Features announced today that Waterworld, the 1995 sci-fi classic, finally broke even. Fishing Pros Contest winner. The following entry, submitted by Natty Lorson, was chosen as the winner of our annual Why I Love to Fish writing contest. Natty wins a 4-day, 3-night, all-expenses-paid trip to Stain Lake, Oregon, and a new set of waders. Throughout history, fly fishing has remained the pinnacle of the angler's art. Other weapons of attack on dwellers of lake and stream may come and go, but when a man has tried every one, if he is a philosopher at all, he will come back to fly fishing. For the fly rod offers other inducements than merely winning the physical fight. The satisfaction lies rather in one's closeness to nature, in his becoming one with his environment, in his lifelong pursuit of the big-ass lunker trout. Mutant Coalition announces Mutant Pride Celebration. The Mutant Coalition has petitioned Mayor Linder to designate April 2nd as Mutant Pride Day. According to the Mutant Coalition Grand Poobah Lipo Davis, Mutant Pride Day will be celebrated regardless of whether the mayor makes it official or not. Events slated for April 2nd include a parade, a pie eating contest, and a 3-legged race. There must be at least 2 participants. In addition, local musical groups will perform. The lineup includes Brains and Eggs, Meat Whistle, and the Buchanans, who are sure to sing their big hit, We're So Right We're Left. And finally, the article we are looking for, exclusive, The Black Arrow Killer Strikes Again by Lucia Purnell. In what seems to be a carbon copy of the serial murders committed in Arizona and Nevada over the past 2 years, a young woman has been murdered in New San Francisco. Police are not releasing any information at this time, including the name of the victim. The reporter has learned, however, that evidence was found at the crime scene, which indicates that the Black Arrow Killer has struck again. Reports from several months ago hint that the police finally caught the serial murderer in Nevada. This was never confirmed or denied, though this recent tragedy seems to prove that the killer is still on loose. We'll provide all possible information when it becomes available. And now, great news, we get to go pester Rook again.
Back again, Murphy. If you're here to ask for another loan, you can forget it. I remember Lucia Purnell. Quite a strong-willed young woman. She works for the Bay City Mirror and came to interview me right after my shop was broken into. I have her business card here if you want to contact her.
Wow. I expect him to charge us for it. Alright. Well, now that we have that phone number, time to make some calls.
This is a private number.
A feeble pun, slimy humor, straight to the point. Oh, let's go for slimy.
Not anymore. I found it scratched in the wall down at the Greyhound station.
Really? So I guess you're looking for some action.
Manly PI response, change subject smoothly, back off.
You got it, sister.
Looks like you called the wrong number.
Well, that didn't go very well. Maybe I should try it again.
If you don't have a good reason for calling me back, I'll have the cops at your place before you disconnect. So get to the point.
And I get the feeling she's actually gonna hold me to that. So let's see. Refer to client's note. Get right to it.
I've got a note that might be from the Black Arrow Killer.
Okay, let's meet. I can tell you whether it's the real thing or not.
Let's see. Set a rendezvous. Recommend the local hangout. Eager to meet.
When can you meet me? I don't want to seem pushy, but if my client gets killed, it reflects poorly on me.
I hope you don't mind, but I've been tracing your call. I know the area, and if it's okay with you, we'll meet at the Brew and Stew in 15 minutes. By the way, what did you say your name was?
Tex Murphy. That's T-E-X.
I got it.
All right. Some way of tracing phone calls. That could be something to look into for ourselves for later. Whoop.
Well, I hope I didn't take you away from anything important.
Nah, just a fight with my editor. Can't even remember what we argued about.
Well, don't worry, because I'm not here to start a fight.
Truth is, I piss people off, usually the wrong people.
Well, at least we got that in common.
Good. Now, you said you had a note?
Yeah.
Where'd you get this?
I got it from a client.
Your client's in danger, Murphy. How much do you know about the Black Arrow Killer?
Killed a few people in the Southwest a couple of years ago, and then a girl around here got killed recently.
You know, Malden might know more than he's letting on. Then again, he might not. Of course, if he did, I doubt he'd tell you. He's not that stupid.
Want to
I'm
bet?
not so sure about that.
Eh.
Look, why don't you fill me in on a few details, and then I can be certain.
It's a long story.
Come on over to the booth and humor me.
You're slightly above average, aren't you?
Yeah, and many things.
Well, we'll just have to cut you down to size, won't we? When the first bodies turned up in Arizona in the summer of '41, the local police tried to keep the story off the wires. They didn't want the bad publicity. It wasn't until March of '42, when 3 other victims were found, that the story really broke big. Turned out the killer in all 5 cases had the same M.O. He sent notes to his victims before murdering them. I had a chance to see one of those notes. It was exactly like this one.
Had the black arrow, all that?
Right, and the block lettering, same words, everything. You probably know cases like this can spawn copycat murders. For that reason, the police didn't release copies of the notes to the media.
Well, so they could differentiate between the copycat killer and the real killer.
Exactly. Anyway, the Black Arrow Killer racked up 2 more victims in Nevada before the police finally caught up with him. At that point, the FBI moved in and media coverage evaporated. The name of the guy they arrested was Leroy Kettler. The night they booked him, he hung himself in his cell with a shoelace. Funny thing is, he was wearing cowboy boots.
Now that's a little hard to explain.
After things cooled off, I went down there and interviewed a few people, including an inmate who told me that 2 men in suits went to Kettler's cell the night before he hung himself. I'm pretty sure they were NSA.
NSA? What would the National Surveillance Agency be doing messing around with a serial killing case? More than that, why would they kill Kettler?
Maybe he was a fall guy. Or maybe Kettler really was the serial killer and the feds just didn't want the case resolved. Regardless, there was a cover-up.
Mike Malden said there was another case around here. How does that tie in?
It doesn't. The girl was a grad student at San Francisco Tech. There was no indication that she was receiving threatening notes, and there was nothing out of the ordinary before she was murdered. Oddly enough, the police found a note in her room. At that point, the feds moved in and took over.
That girl. What was her name?
Collins. Sandra Collins. You know something I ought to know?
I'm not sure.
Now, there's no chance that you can give me the name of your client?
You know I can't do that. But I'll tell you what. If I find out who's stalking my client, you're gonna get a scoop out of this.
That's a fair deal. By the way, have you heard of a place called Autotech?
Don't think so.
Might be worth checking into. Oh, and Murphy, one more thing. When I was following this story in Nevada, I met a guy just like you, a PI. He asked a lot of questions, too. A week later, he had a tag on his toe. Suicide, I think.
Cheerful.
Burnell certainly gave me a lot to think about. What's the common denominator between Fitzpatrick, Malloy, Kettler, and this young woman, Sandra Collins? Too few details, too many implications. The bottom line is, whoever sent the note to Emily is for real, and she's in danger. And if Emily ends up collecting dust on a slab in the morgue, she won't be very much help to me. I gotta do something, and fast. Burnell mentioned a place called Autotech. Maybe that's a place to start. Somebody just jumped off the water tower on the roof of Rusty's funhouse. Dressed all in black. Maybe Emily wasn't just imagining that someone was watching her.
Boy, did I sequence break this or what?
Somebody left their coat here. It sure doesn't look like it's been here very long. I wonder if this jacket could have been left by that shadowy figure I saw up here earlier. Let's see what's in the pockets. A cufflink and torn pieces of a photograph. DH. Probably the monogram of the person I'm trying to find.
And, well, as in game player mode, we do have another little jigsaw puzzle, but thankfully we're not timed on this one, and this one isn't too terribly difficult. The trick, of course, here is that you gotta find the corner pieces. And don't think that one goes together. And then just find all the brick parts that go together. And that'll be in the middle there somewhere. And they do click together a little bit as before when you got them in the right spot. So it actually goes there. And voila. Voila.
Looks like the exterior of Autotech, whatever that is. Well, Purnell seemed to think it was important. If I can examine this picture more closely, maybe I can find something that will help me figure out where this place is.
Of course, I could just look up the address, but probably they aren't listed in the phone book. So we have to go retrieve another item from our new best friend.
I'm here to answer questions about the merchandise, and that's all. If you see something you're interested in, ask me about it, and I'll give you a price. Then if you want to buy it, you give me the cash, and you take it with you. Got it? Good.
Well, at least it's one less person we have to keep asking about stuff they logically shouldn't know anything about. Alright.
The visual analyzing apparatus allows you to examine objects and enhance different quadrants digitally. It's a steal at only $70.
Well, I hope my new purchase will help me out.
Alright. Let's go ahead and combine the visual analyzing apparatus with the assembled photo.
Looks like Autotech is located at 144 Barcelona. If I'm not mistaken, that's down in the industrial sector.
And for once, Tex is not mistaken. So let's head on down to the industrial sector.
I find the Autotech building without any problem, but all the doors require some kind of security card, which I don't have.
Well, time to hit our cop buddy
Did you
up.
find out anything else about that note you brought in here?
Some, but I'll give you the details later when I got some extra time. I came by to get some more information from you.
Sandra Collins. That's the name of a girl who was murdered a couple weeks ago. I don't have any other details. We didn't handle the case. Most of what I know came from the papers. I know there's a rumor around that the Black Arrow killer has moved out here. There are a lot of perverts running around these days. We can't keep tabs on all of them. We wanted to search the entire premises, but it took us forever to find a way up to the roof. Turns out there's a secret room with a ladder and a trap door.
Okay, actually, though it would make logical sense for us to check with Mac about the Collins case, nothing doing. So I think actually we need to head back to the office and confab with Lucia a bit more.
Hey, guess what I found out? I got a source that told me Leroy Kettler signed a confession before he supposedly killed himself, only now it's like the confession never happened. No paperwork, no nothing.
So Kettler was the real Black Arrow killer?
Looks that way. Maybe the NSA found it useful for people to think that the killer's still on the loose. So why'd you call?
Yeah, I just needed to ask you a few questions.
Although it would have been a lot easier if we could have asked this when we were talking earlier.
I talked to her family after the murder, but they didn't have any useful information. If you want to give it a try, I'll give you the address.
The Collins residence is in the New City, in a nice middle-class neighborhood. Takes some explaining, but I finally get Mrs. Collins to let me look around her daughter's room. She tells me that nothing's been moved in the room since the police were here.
Ooh, upbeat music here.
Ah, a color print from the Allen collection of Mayan art. Never heard of it.
And there's not a lot to look for here, honestly, but there are two things of interest to us.
Well, what have we here? Looks like it might be a credit card or an ID. Looks like a copy of Sandra Collins' resume.
And why this is of interest to us is that if we read through all of this, I'll spare you the details, but basically it runs through every place that she's gone to college, her work history, every place that she's worked, and we find out that she did not work at a place called Autotech, which makes it rather curious that she then has this Autotech security card in her bedroom.
An Autotech security card. I wonder if Sandra Collins worked at Autotech. No. Fitzpatrick said she worked at the college. Maybe this card was dropped by whoever killed her.
Which really makes you wonder about the competency of the killer, but you know what? I'm not going to quibble. Because this does give us what we need to get into Autotech.
Autotech is housed in a nondescript building in the industrial sector. I go around to a side door and slip the card through the scanner. The door clicks open and I find myself in an empty lobby.
And this is where we will pick up our case next time. We'll see you then.